Faith Foundation, and I'll be your moderator for the day. So sometime in April, we had launched some of our latest online courses, and for aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs in the logistics, short-term rental, fashion, film and video production space. If you did not attend any of these sessions, I mean, it's a good time to start. But we would say to be able to access all those courses, please visit our e-learning platform, which is elearning.faithfoundation.org. So you can explore these courses and some other offerings that we have there. So, but today's interactive session is an offshoot of that launch that we had sometime in April. And we're excited to chat with our guest today, who is none other than Mr. Adetola Adebowale. He is the CEO of Wapa Apparels. So Adetola Adebowale is the lead tailoring consultant of Wapa Apparel, with over 18 years of experience in the fashion industry, producing different garments from fabrics, rubber, leather, and then he produces from corporate, casual, and industrial clothing. At Wapa Apparel, they also produce traditional wears, uniforms for organizations, including airline crew uniforms. Can you beat that? Military and paramilitary uniforms, and engineering workwears, formerly known or usually known as PPE, amongst others. Adetola has also worked with renowned companies nationwide. He is an award-winning fashion professional with a lot of prizes to his name, such as the overall winner MTN Business Plan competition in 2012, and then the first runner-up in the SME Business Accelerator Pitch competition issued by Microsoft, HP, Intel, Diamond Bank, and MTN in 2016. He's a proud alumnus of Faith School and a dedicated Faith volunteer, where he facilitates sessions and then mentors Nigerian entrepreneurs to start, grow, and scale their businesses. I mean, we could go on and on about his achievements, but we have him here today in the flesh. So please, without much further ado, we'd like to welcome Mr. Adetola Adebowale. Hi, Wapa, like I would like to call you. Good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam. Good morning, colleagues in the industry. Okay. Great to be here with you.
Honestly, thank you very much for making time to be with us. I'd just like to mention he's currently not in the country, but he still, rearranged his schedule to be here. So please, 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 let's maximize this opportunity. I'd like to mention that it's going to be a very interactive session. So if you have questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat box while the conversations are ongoing. Okay, sir. I think I would like to start with just a bit of background on how long you've been in the fashion business and why. Why did you choose fashion?
Okay, well, thanks for having me once again. The fashion industry is something that has always excited my mind as a young boy growing up in Abeokuta. And one of the reasons why I decided to go into that was that my mom was a seamstress. And when my dad lost his job in 1985, he was retrenched by the military government. And I realized that he couldn't get another job because he happens to be a technologist working in the radio and TV space, repairing those massive transmitters that they use for broadcasting with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. We had fewer TV stations and radio stations, so he wasn't able to get another job. And that went on for decades, and it couldn't fit into the economy. So that prompted something in me that I should have a skill that should be able to put food on the table for myself and for my future family. So as an 8-year-old boy in 1985, I already had a dream of pursuing a career in the fashion business, since I know that I knew that my mom could do some things with her hand, and she was also selling arts in Abeokuta then. So that was what actually prompted my love for fashion. Thank you.
Okay. So you would say that you've been doing this since you were 8 years old. Wow, that's it.
No, I had the idea. I actually started in 2005. So August this year will make it 19 years full time
Oh,
that I've
okay.
been doing this.
Okay, great. I mean, it's great to know that like they will always say, a skill would never fail you. It's just,
Definitely.
ensuring that you have that skill. So yeah, the name of this course is ready to wear, just how to start a ready to wear business.
Yes.
I also would like you to throw more light, because sometimes people confuse the two.
Okay.
Between the difference between ready to wear and your regular bespoke fashion business.
Okay. When we talk about bespoke, that means it's made for you. The word bespoke is an old English term that bespoke, it's made for you. That means that cloth will fit only you and cannot fit another person. And we just have a few companies around Europe and North America that actually does bespoke. And the popular example I give happens to be a former Egyptian president. When you see the stripes on his suit, its name is actually embedded on those white stripes. And that you can see under the mercury light. Like the polka dots that we are seeing on screen now, if it's bespoke, you can actually embed the name of the individual there. And under a mercury light, you see the same fabric on A, but when you see it on B that it was bespoke for, then you see the massive details there. The buttons also can have the details of the person's initials on it. And that's what bespoke means, it's specially made for you. But when we talk about ready to wear, that means something that you can buy off the rack. It's available in commercial quantities across different sizes. And that's just the distinction between the two. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I mean, it's good that you threw more light, on that. So if we look at the growth potential of the Nigerian fashion industry, what would you say are the specific niches within the ready-to-wear aspect of this fashion industry?
Okay, well, we can look at that internally and externally. And we can start with the Generation X and the Generation Y and the millennials, the kind of things that they want to wear to either school or to their offices. They want to dress down, and you see them doing things like streetwear. That's the oversized clothing, the baggy clothing, either for the tops or for the bottoms. You see them doing things like athleisure, and athleisure is a combination of athletics and leisure wears. And in the last few years, I've been observing that you see this bohemian culture again around them, which they play with various colors on the same clothing. And some of their footwears also have many colors on it. Their scarves and the brooches and all those things that they are using, free-flowing gown, and they use some athlete stones as buttons on those things. Then you see them using things like capsule, and that capsule actually captures a minimalist wardrobe. That is nothing outlandish, but a little bit conservative. So it depends on where you actually want to play. Then when you go further down, we have the Ashwebi, which is a great solution for clothing on weekend and sometimes during the week, which is also a niche market that people can actually work on. And the beauty of Ashwebi is that once you build capacity That means that you can actually deliver these garments in a matter of 6 hours to 48 hours, because Nigerians always plan at the last minute. So you can actually develop, just like an airline in North America, they fly during stormy weathers. When the weather is not okay, that's when they fly. And they have a 100% record of not crashing any aircraft. So also you can build a niche around the market that will allow you to provide garments for customers between 6 to 48 hours. And that can also be your niche. Then you can also look towards things that very few people are playing in that sector, which is still under fashion. That's interior decor, the curtains, the bed sheets, and things like that. It's also a niche market that many of us can look towards and not restrict ourselves to the popular things that many people do within the fashion industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if I heard you, because it's sometimes it's good to simplify this thing.
Okay.
Correctly, you talked about they can either play in interior decor, they can play in so maybe if we use like age categories now, what kind of, because I know it still continues to, if you distill it down, the niches even get broader, right?
Okay.
So you can please expatiate on that.
Okay. Talking about when we look at you said the age bracket, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, bringing it home, we can talk about the menswear. And talking about the menswear, we have people within the age of between, let's say, teenagers to before they get into adulthood, that they are still in high school and yet to get to the university. So we can bring those categories together, let's say between the age of 12 and 21. So the things that they want to wear are these streetwear, athleisure things, both male and female. They do not actually want to dress formal. They want to be casual in their clothing. And most of the things that you see that despite the weather in Nigeria and some parts of Africa, you see our young men and women wearing their hoodies, their sweatshirts, their baggy joggers, their pencil-fitting trousers, their palazzo pants. They actually want to wear it to the office. They want to wear it to things that they want to wear. And we can't actually do a straight jacket them into wearing the conventional things. So for those in that space, they should be able to cater for that market and not say, oh, our weather doesn't support this. That's actually none of our business as fashion entrepreneurs. It's what the market needs that we need to make available to them. And that's why we need to do a personal research, not online research, and go and visit places within the country. The fashion capital in Nigeria happens to be Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. That's where the major things are happening. We have a cluster of people living there, and we also have commercial activities happening there. That means there's disposable income there. In Abuja, it's for politicians, the legislators, and also the businessmen. Port Harcourt has to do with refining and also extractive industry. Lagos is the commercial capital. That's the biggest market in the whole, the fifth largest economy in Africa as at 2023, Lagos. So, and it has over 22 million people. And that's an economy that has rakes in tax of over 60 to 80 billion naira every month. So that tells you the kind of resources and disposable income that is available. So when we are doing our research for our niche market, we should know where people spend their money. For example, those who want to get married it starts in Lagos from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The registries are fully booked. The churches are fully booked. The event centers are fully booked. Then you ask yourself as a fashion entrepreneur, am I working on the bride or the groom's clothing, or I'm working on both? Despite the fact that the economy is crashing, people still spend a fortune on what they wear on their wedding day.
Yeah, they
And
do.
we also need to cash into that and ask ourselves, how do I plug in and make my services available to those who matter? And
Okay.
that's a massive niche market. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd just like to take it back a bit. We've talked about, how you started.
Yes.
So, but I would also like to ask, can you speak to some of the challenges that you faced when you started this business?
Okay, I think the most important thing was that I did not start well, and we didn't start Wapa well because we followed the conventional method of learning how to sew, buying a machine, and starting from the house. I think so. When it comes to knowledge capital, I was poor in that. And over the years, I've learned that I should have interned under my Igbo brothers' tutelage because they actually run the quantities. You understand? So that's actually where the money is in mass production. Bespoke in Africa is great, but where the money is that will pay the bills, that is the rent, the right equipment, the right staff, both administrative and production, is actually in ready to wear, which is the mass production line of the business.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so we didn't start well in the area of knowledge capital. Then we didn't also have the right team, because there's no way you can be successful in this business if you are just producing an item. Even if you are selling for ₦1 million or $1 million, you can't break even. If you are just the only one in the production, in sales and marketing, in supply chain, you can't break even. You need to think of building a team. Yes, you can start alone, but put it in your plan that you must recruit people into different segments of the business. That's another thing. Then part of the challenges we had as we began to grow again has to do with HR, recruiting the right tailors, especially production, which will give you a whole headache. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is you fire, you hire again, you fire, you hire, you rehire again. So you don't waste time trying to, you train and retrain, but the lifespan of your production team is actually 3 to 5 years for them to work well and be productive. The moment they linger with your team, after 5 years, they usually become cancerous. They break down the team again. So I've had to start over more than 12 times in my career, that I need to actually shut down the whole system and rebuild from scratch. And now we now have a metrics in place. We have an HR person in place. So once you don't fit into the organizational culture, you are flushed out of the system. Because, for example, you have a production or administrative team member that drinks heavily, smokes heavily. Such a person, you are not a therapist, you are into fashion business. You can't heal or cure such a person. So the solution is just to get such a person out of your system, no matter how skilled the person is. Again, you have someone that steals your raw materials. It steals the company's time. Such a person should be flushed out of the system. Once you give it the first warning, second warning, then the red card comes, which is sack. So there's no emotions in this. And that's one of the things that is affecting many fashion businesses. They are always thinking about, oh, he or she is too skillful, I can't lose him or her. Then you are not in business if you can hire and fire. So, and I think the fourth thing I'll speak to has to do with funding. And that's why I'm going to recommend again the leading entrepreneurial school in the country, which is Fit Foundation and around Africa, where once you have funding challenges, please go there run their aspiring entrepreneurs program or the emerging entrepreneurs program. And there are some other courses that they are running that cuts across all industries. Please go there, learn the rudiments of starting, growing, and scaling a business. So funding shouldn't be a problem. And we've had the opportunity to be there severally to learn and mentored by leading minds around the world. And that has actually taken the business to another pedestal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for singing our praises. But just to put it clearly, because we don't necessarily give funding.
But you teach how to raise funds.
We teach how to raise funds. I wanted to put that clarity out there.
Okay.
Okay. So I mean, you said a lot of things. You talked about just starting right. That for you started from, because I mean most when they say most people start from bootstrapping, because it's always like that. You learn how to, you get a machine, you start from your house, and then when it expands, you step out. But now to get that that insight that it would be nice to just go and attach yourself to some established outfit, learn from them, and do that. And then there's also the what you said about training and retraining, just having that idea that you will continue to train and retrain people. Maybe you just even have like a pipeline that feeds into when you have the senior members of team, that's if that cycle is ending, there's already a new set that would replace
the pipeline.
Yes, the old set. And then it's quite very enlightening. So now that you're talking about all of these things that need to be in place, I would ask, were there challenges? Because the thing with ready to wear, because it's something that you just churn out. One, do you need to have a ready market? Because there's also that challenge around, if you're producing, bespoke is somebody has come and asked, they've paid for everything, you're just producing to deliver, right? But for ready to wear, you are producing with your own resources in the hope that people would buy. Is there the need to have that market ready before you produce? And then what are the challenges in sourcing fabrics and resources that you need for that? And then there's also quality control, because I know that has always been the problem with Nigerian ready to wear. A size 12 typically, I'm just using that as an example now, it be different across different outfits. You find out that a size 12 is not, there's no standardization. So what can you speak to this?
Okay, let me start with the quality control. My advice is that many of our colleagues should actually employ someone that understands technology, that is those who are versed in using wares for creating patterns and also doing digital rendering. This will go a long way to standardize their products, because in ready-to-wear, you need to produce in commercial quantity using standard body measurements. And again, you said something about size UK 12. Talking about standardizing that, it actually varies. It depends on the brand that you're talking about. There was a time that a client of ours bought a popular shirt brand, and she bought about 10. And it's the same UK 14, and the whole 10 shirts are different measurements, and it's produced from abroad.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to mention the name of suit, so I shouldn't mention their name. But I'm just saying that, but because that's happening, does not mean that we also should incorporate that into our business production model. So we should be able to use softwares to create digital rendering, create our patterns, print them out, and this will enable us to standardize our product across board. So what we do is that We use patterns when necessary. And we also ensure that the measurements of each garment, either we're doing bespoke or we are mass producing, the sizes of the shirts, the trousers, the jacket is actually sewn permanently onto that garment. It's not removed until it has been ironed and packed. And sometimes we actually send it within and outside the country with the measurements stapled onto it, because that tells you that we are sure of what we are doing. And you can also move a step further to have a quality assurance manager who you can also hire and fire when those errors happen. Because you as an entrepreneur, it's not your duty to be sitting down to be measuring garments that has been sewn completely. The job of the quality assurance manager is to move around the production floor and ensure that there's consistency in the quality of stitches, the quality of finishing, and the measurement being used. And each garment should also be tagged to the name on the machine, the name of the person sitting on the particular machine. So if it's Adetola sitting on machine 001, my name and initial should appear on all the garments. So at the end of the production cycle, before we do this batch labeling, my name should be there, so that if there are issues, it's my salary that should have a fall for it, or I need to reimburse the company back. So those are the things. And I'll also chip this in for my colleagues. Don't be sentimental in the early days. Once your tailor messes up your job, let the salary pay for it. Because the moment you put in emotions, oh, how will he or she survive, then they continue to mess you up. And those were the part of the mistakes we made. Then you spoke about fabrics.
Yes,
fabrics
please.
can be sourced locally within Africa and outside Africa. The go-to place once it's not available within Africa is Asia. That's either Far East, that's China, Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong. You can actually get all these things. And if you move back a little, Turkey is also a garment giant, manufacturing giant when it comes to fabrics, textile, and cotton. Then if you're now doing bespoke, that's when you can look towards France. Because France also has some fledgling companies that can give you the bespoke fabrics at, of course, at a premium cost. UK doesn't manufacture anymore. They import their garments. North America imports all these things. They no longer manufacture in commercial quantities. So I think we should just look towards Asia. And if it's Europe, then France is the go-to country for fabrics that are bespoke, but mass production, ready to wear. Look towards Asia. And of course, within Africa, Kenya is there. Ethiopia is there, Rwanda is there, Lesotho is there. These are giants. And of course, in North America, we have Egypt, we have Morocco, and these are also giants in textile manufacturing and sourcing of fabric and accessories. Thank you. Then you spoke again about a question concerning the fashion enthusiasts using their resources to produce ready to wear.
Yes.
Before you start production, shut down your creative mind. Travel within and look at what people wear. When they want to be casual, then when they want to be formal, and look also at industrial settings. That's what do people need? Because it's what people need that you are meant to produce. And that's why I keep going back to my Igbo brothers. You never see any of my Igbo colleagues buy things that the market does not need. Even when they want to be innovative, they are sure that the price is right, the quality is right for that target market. But again, many people want to come into this industry thinking that they want to actually target the rich people. And I tell you, the rich people actually shop from the top fashion houses in the world. It's only when they want to do Ashwebi that they think local.
Oh.
If you actually, many of us on this call will have billionaires as their clients. I'm telling you, when they want to go Western, they buy from the best fashion houses. It's only when they want to work with Adire and the like. So look at your target market very well and be sure that you are offering them what they actually need. Once the needs are well secured, then they exchanging their money for your services won't be a problem. So I think that's where there's a disconnect. We actually want to sow for the richest, and our price is actually very poor when it comes to bespoke in Nigeria, because bespoke is not meant to be cheap. And that's why many of us struggle in that space. We have struggled, we've learned our lessons the hard way, and now we ensure that we charge right. Because again, you can look at the economy, naira to dollar, naira to euro, naira to the pounds. You can see that it's falling, it keeps falling, it's getting devalued. So also, the cost of production is going high. So it will be sad if any of us after this call, a client brings 5 yards of Ankara to you or 5 yards of lace to you, that please produce for me. And you are charging the person 10, 20,000. When the cost of fuel alone has taken a whopping 5, 7, 10,000 from what you are charging. So let's open up our minds and do costing. And again, Faith Foundation would take you on financial modeling, which will allow you to know your cost price, your selling price, and look deeply within the macro and micro economy so that you can price right. But that also helps. So that you are using your resources for your ready-to-wear means that you are sure of what the products and services that the market will exchange their money for. And again, is it cheaper and more profitable to sell within Lagos, or you need to move those goods and services to Abuja to sell? That's another model that my brothers in Aba, they do. There are so many things that are being sown and produced in Aba that is being sold to other African nations. It's not being sold within Nigeria. People come from neighboring countries. They load up several trailers on daily basis with fashion products that are being taken outside the country to be sold. So you don't just look within. And that's why I say, before you start that business, go under tutelage of those who have been doing this as a generational business. There's no reason why we have more multi-millionaires in dollars within a particular state, within the southeastern part of the country. That hasn't happened in China or in Europe or in North America. That means they are doing the financial modeling well. They understand what they are doing, and it's a generational business. So shut down creativity and learn the rudiments of business of fashion. Thank you.
Okay, wow. I mean, you've answered a lot of questions because I was coming to pricing, but I think you've answered that. So you're saying that, because yeah, I know that most times when people go into the fashion business, creativity is top of mind, where they are just trying to express their creativity through fashion. So, but now you're saying that, especially if you're going to want to play in the ready-to-wear space, you may need to put that hat down and focus on what do people need. But it goes to my initial question around if they are exporting in numbers.
Yes.
I want to believe that there's an existing maybe market or demand.
Yes.
They are not just exporting to, test the waters, right? So maybe it now goes back to, do they need to get that, demand and market before they produce? I mean, of course, they'll produce samples, but should that be in place before you produce in bulk?
Of course,
Or
the market needs to be tested
okay.
before you produce in bulk. But what many of us do is that we produce and we start chasing the market. And the reverse is the case. So we need to be sure that we have deals with these major fast fashion houses, either within Africa or outside Africa, before we must produce our garments. So we must test the waters first, send samples out, get orders, pre-orders, before you produce. And again, we have many African stores around Europe and America, as well as Canada, where you can actually send your samples to, or you visit first. And that's why it's important that we go for local and international exhibitions that will expose us to the buyers, because there are people called buyers in this industry who buy on behalf of the companies that they work for. And they go to exhibitions and trade fairs around the world. So you also just don't put your creativity on social media. Do that. I'm not saying it's bad, but you know, there's the magic when there's a physical contact with you. Because again, before people patronize you, they want to know you. Are you someone that they can trust with resources, millions of dollars? Or do you have the capacity to actually produce ready-to-wear garments in millions of dollars? Because the tradition in this sector is that like the clothes that is going to be worn in 2025 across Europe and North America, because that's actually where the disposable income is high. The order for next year has been concluded in the first quarter of 2024. So what they are producing now is actually for 2025. And the moment the ship leaves with the goods, the destination is either Europe or North America, that's when they get their credit alert. So you use your own resources to produce what they are going to use in the 4 seasons that is going to come next year. So the moment they've loaded the ship, that's when they get their credit alert. So you must demonstrate financial muscles to be able to play in that space. So when we are talking about ready to wear, like one of our clients approached a big organization in UK that look at the samples being produced in Nigeria. And the first question the buyer told him was that, okay, for age 0 to 2 years, if we need white t-shirts, the minimum we need is going to be 12 different colors, and each is 50,000 units.
Wow.
And your manufacturer in Nigeria produce that with his resources, and when the ship has been loaded in Apapa, and we're sure that the ship is moving, he or she gets the credit alert. Of course, we don't have that kind of capacity. So when we're talking about ready to wear, it's not 20 units, 100 units, 500 units. And that's just age group 0 to 2. Okay, now, when we move from 3 to 5, it may be 100,000 units, because this is also based on the statistics available to the fashion company there. Because, you know, statistics enables them to order. As children are growing, as children are being born, they are documenting all these things. And that's what will inform the kind of order they want to go into. So that's what is keeping businesses in India, Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, China. That's what keeps them in business, because you must have local muscle to deliver these goods on credit.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a lot. I hope that, you know, aspiring entrepreneurs on the call are not like a bit scared with the numbers. I'm looking to produce 50,000 units of one color in a particular age group. That looks like a lot, but I hear you in terms of somebody now, okay, they said scared, but I mean, yeah, we can speak to our local markets. I mean, you have to start from somewhere, right?
Yes.
So, but you had said something, I just want to ask, so does it mean that you do not necessarily need to have design skills to start a ready-to-wear, successful ready-to-wear business?
Well, if you are thinking local,
Yes.
have the skill. But if you are thinking local, that is, means global, then you don't actually need to know how to sew. What you need to know is to understand the market dynamics.
Okay.
And that's the most important skill. Where's my target market? What do they need? When do they need it? How do I get it across to them? When am I getting paid? Those are the most important skills when you are thinking global. But if you are a local player that is just covering you're working from your home for a start, then you can think like that. But other entrepreneurs in other climes, they are thinking in millions of customers. And that's how we should think. If we actually want to break the yoke of poverty in Nigeria, we have to think in millions. And that's why many of us on this call should have friends in the technology space. Those who use AI, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and all these things to run their companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at the time where I'm gradually approaching the end of this call. So I'd like to mention once again, if you have questions, please put your questions in the chat box so we can attend to it within the time that we have. And then we'll also like to mention, I mean, this is just like a teaser. The course where there's a lot of these things explained in detail is out there on our e-learning platform. They'll put the link once again in the chat box. Please sign up. I mean, with a token of 5K, that's when they say shawarma money. In fact, shawarma these days may even be more expensive than that. But this is knowledge that would help you just know how to start right. Okay, let's talk equipment. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of things. So can you just, list out some equipment? I mean, the normal equipment people know is, okay, get your sewing machine and then start.
Yeah.
What are those equipments that they may need to thrive in this ready-to-wear industry?
Okay. Well, the most common equipment we all buy is the straight sewing machine and the overlocking machine for the inner parts of the garment. So it all depends on what you want to produce. For example, if you are into t-shirts, polo, joggers, that's the athleisure wears, you need the cover stitch machine, straight sewing machine, the overlocking machine, you need the buttonhole machine. And I think those are the basics. Then if you now need to embellish or embroider those garments, again, you may consider in future the monogram machine, the stoning machine, and there are some other things that can actually do other embroideries on the garments. Then if you want to go into mass producing Ankara wears for female, you also need the straight sewing machine and overlocking machine. And you can also get some things to embellish the garments. And just have it at the back of your mind that as your business expands, we have over 500 equipment in the fashion space. And some are specialized equipment, some are the everyday use. And the more specialized equipment you have, the more numbers you can actually churn out. For those who make jeans, there's the zigzag machine, lock stitch machine that does only zigzag. There are some that only places the pocket at the back of the jeans trouser. That's the only, it does the pocket setting and does the sewing. And this can do millions of units over the years. So instead of just putting a tailor to start sewing the pocket of jeans, one will be straight, one will be this. Those are the things that enables Asia and some African countries to actually evolve into giants. So as you're going into your space, have it at the back of your mind that there are over 500 machines. Maybe before you quit the stage, you would have gotten about 250 or 300 of such machines. But for you to thrive in the ready-to-wear space, it has to do with numbers. And I quickly recall that there's yet another customer who got excited about our product, took it to another major buyer in the US. And the first question they asked was that, what was the square meter? That is the space for our production line. I quickly did some measurements, and the person said, is this guy joking? How many equipments does he have? That the guys we use in here, the minimum number of equipments they have is 5,000. Some have 10,000, some have 20,000 equipments. So you can see, when we are talking about ready to wear, we should start small, but we should think big. And that's why it's important that when the resources keeps coming into this sector, let's not think of buying Rolls Royce or buying those big cars, living in Banana Island. No. The average multi-millionaires in ready-to-wear space globally, they don't live large. They don't compete with fashion designers. Because as a ready-to-wear professional, you are a fashion designer walks on the catwalk. You are on the fast lane of mass-producing garments. So there's a distinction again between the two. So that's what I have for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll take some questions here. So there's a question here on, okay, somebody said they have issues, they are unable to gain access to the additional resources. So we'll get back to you. That should be from our end on how to get access to this. And please, team, note and favor Father Hunsi has an issue with getting access to the resources. Then there's another question here. What will be your advice for me as I am just starting in the fashion industry, still working from home, bespoke, and I really want to go into ready to wear, but it seems like it's so huge. What do I start with? As in, where do I start? My niche is the modest fashion, and I'm just a recent graduate.
Okay. When you say modest fashion, can you be specific on the things that you are currently making? And was it informed by the skill set you currently have or what the market needs? Because as a recent graduate, while you were serving, I'm sure you saw that people wore more of the white t-shirts and white knicker during service. Did that trigger a commercial brain in you that let me provide t-shirts and white knickers for graduating students? And to put this into perspective, into numbers, over 400,000 graduates pass through NYSC on a yearly basis. And they need to buy more than 800,000 white t-shirts and 800,000 knickers. At least each person should have at least 2 white t-shirts and 2 knickers to pass through that NYSC camp training. So did that happen? Did that occur to you? They need to wear socks again. You can leave out the shoes and the face caps that they need to use. So I'm only saying that you can start small, but look deeply around your environment and ask yourself, what do people need and how much are they willing to pay for it? Because none of these 400,000 people will be allowed into the camp if they do not wear white t-shirts and those white knickers. So you can play in that space. You don't need to go into wedding wears or all those things for a start. The things that people, because business sustainability is very key. Your cash flow is very vital.
Okay, I'm hoping that answers, because there are lots of questions and we don't have time. Let me just run through. So there's a question here from Zita Uzo. He says, good afternoon. After deciding on my niche market as ready to wear, how do I conduct a market research to know if there is a demand for my products in my location? What is the most suitable way for production when starting a ready-to-wear brand on a small scale? Should I outsource or have in-house tailors? How do you determine the quantity of each sizes to produce?
Okay, should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's start from how do you start? You can outsource, but that you have no control over it. But when you have tailors internally, you have a good control over it. And also think of accommodation, because you won't be paying your tailors 100, 150,000 per month, except they are grade A tailors, and that will really impact on your profitability. So that's that. Either you outsource or you control. When you control internally, you can actually control the quality. But when you outsource, you may not be there all the time to check on your quality control. Then another question you asked, yes, you can start small. We also started small from my parents' living room in 2005, and we've grown to having 2 training centers and 1 production outlet in Lagos. So you can actually start small. And if you have the love for equipment like I do, keep investing in equipment, because that gives you capacity to deliver on time. And when your customers are sure that, oh, the last time I visited this guy, he had only 1 machine. 6 months after, he has 3 machines plus the one he had before. That's 4. That means when I visit again in another 3 months, he has added yet another set of equipment, because the business, you don't wait until you begin to make so much money before you buy equipment. Keep investing, replying your profits into buying equipment, because it's those customers that will keep moving and advertising your brand. Word of mouth is very powerful. And to that, I'll use this as an example. Some years ago, a friend of mine had to attend Lagos Business School, and some Kenyans came into the country, and they saw him wearing different male kaftans. And about 20 of the Kenyan guys said they are leaving in 48 hours, and they want to buy kaftans off the shelf. Wapa was not the one that made the garments, but because he knew he had the capacity in terms of human resources and equipment, he called me up, and we went. We delivered over 30 kaftans to these people within 48 hours, and we had to buy fabrics, we had to sew. So building capacity is non-negotiable, please. That's what your customers will rely on. That, oh, this brand has human capacity, and it also has equipment that can deliver. So it's very critical. Please invest in equipment and your capacity. Then I think that's that.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think you asked something. How do you determine the quantity of each size?
Okay, there's standard body measurements that you can get online, or you can reach out to Faith Foundation after this. I can make that available. So there's standard body measurements for all garments that you want to produce online. It now depends on the brand that you want to use as your focus. You understand? Okay. Because it varies from brand A to brand B. And are we talking about UK sizes or US sizes? Yes. So wow. Standard body measurements are available for men and women, but be careful. African sizes, especially when it comes to women, is different, because most of our women, the bust is usually smaller as compared to the hips. When you compare them to Europeans, Asians, and also Americans, we have fuller hips around here. So the upper part may be 12 and the lower part may be 14, UK 14 or UK 16. So you need to be careful so that you can adapt it to Nigerian sizes.
Yes, I was going to say that, because these standard measurements online are not very inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, we have the Asian size, we have the African, and all of that. The questions are pouring in. I wish the questions came earlier. We are at the 1 o'clock mark. We may just add extra 5 minutes to take 1 or 2 more questions. We'd like to mention once again that the course is available. The link will be put again, so that you can get, answers to some of these questions that you have. But let me see if I can take maybe 2 more questions. So there's this one from Aminar. And it says, for someone that is willing to do bulk ready to wear but don't have capacity, how can we go about creating a team with other fellow designers to produce bulk, just like what other people are doing? How can
Okay,
we?
I think there are some fashion administration of Professor Yemi Olubajo. There's some
Oh,
one around Allen Avenue. You can Google and get the address of Afolabia Ino. Equipments are there that you can pay on daily basis.
oh,
You
okay.
can pay per use. So you can actually go there with your team,
Mm,
produce, monitor them, and you get your clothing out. So there are
fantastic.
hubs available, yeah.
There
And
are
many
hubs.
of the fashion houses in Lagos too, you can actually approach them that you need to produce, use their equipment, and they should be willing to allow you do your business.
Okay. But there's another question here. Tailoring entrepreneurs have a number of gaps to fill. So one, those who want to be fashion designers but cannot sew. Then those who don't pay attention to the finishing. So we're talking about quality control. And those who want to short circuit the learning process and do not go through training, apprenticeship, building credibility. Okay, I think this is more of a comment than a question.
Okay.
So, but if you want to react to that, okay, there's a last question here. You just take it all, then we can wrap up and go. So there's one, it says, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm already into sewing Muslim wears, majorly hijab and
No.
khimar. And then my question is, how do I start to wear ready to wear in this link?
Okay. The first question is that do you wear what you produce?
Mm,
Does it come in engaging in the when you wear it, do people engage you to ask you where did you buy this from? If those questions are not coming from family and friends, then you need to innovate and be more creative. While at EDC, Enterprise Development Center, there was this lady there who also was a Muslim lady, and she was making athleisure garments using jersey fabrics to produce gowns for Muslim ladies. And it also comes with hoodie and some scarves. So you just need to retweak it a little so that it doesn't come out in the traditional way. And if it's going to be the traditional way, the Muslim community in Lagos, how popular are you in NASFAT or these organizations? So that
mm.
every meeting that is being held, do you take your goods there with your model and you dress it up so that Muslim ladies can see if they were the ones that want athleisure garments or the traditional ones. So you can start small, start from your family and friends, start from the mosque where you worship. People should see you and know that this is what you do for a living. And that's why you must be the first person to wear it. And you must create conversations around it so that people know that this is actually what you do. That's what I do anywhere I go to. I ensure I mix up some colors that people will ask me, Oga, is everything okay? Then I
Mm.
tell them that's what I do for a living. You must create conversations deliberately. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time today. It's been
Thank you,
such a
Ma.
very productive 1 hour. We would like to encourage everybody. The link will be put out again in the chat box to just explore our e-learn platform and sign up, even not just for this course. We have other offerings on the platform. Um, you know, we would like to say now thank you to everybody who joined the call and who engaged with the conversations today. Thank you for your time. It's been such a pleasure. Once again, I look forward to connecting with you in the courses. So want to see you signing up and engaging with these courses. So if you haven't signed up, please, please, please do so. Yes, we've come to the 105 mark and we would have to sign out here. So thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Enjoy
madam.
of your week. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you,
Yep.
Ma. Yeah,
All
bye.
right, everybody. Bye.
Kaba, sugar.